Be sure to wash surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water before preparing food, especially when handling raw meat or eggs. Raw food may contain bacteria that can make you very sick or worse. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year, and roughly 3,000 will die. But you can keep your family safer by cleaning with soap and water as you go. Learn more about this and other important information. Check out steps at foodsafety.gov. That's foodsafety.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council. Welcome back, everybody, to the GioMoShow. It's time for football therapy, baby. It's time to talk about the Detroit Lions, the new and reigning NFC North champions. It's been such a long time coming. It's been literally 30 years since a division champion was held in Detroit. It's been 30 years since a playoff game has been played near Detroit. Apart from the Super Bowl, but we weren't even in it. But it's historic. It's massive. It's big news. And it's going to be a t-shirt I'll be wearing soon. I got to go find one. It's what we've been looking for. It's what we've been wanting for so long. And it's finally here. And now, I don't believe, and I don't claim to, have lived through the toughest times in Detroit sports. I physically have lived through them. But have I paid attention as much? Of course I've watched the Lions since I was little, but have I really paid attention to give it the analytical thought that I do now? No, that's not how it's always been. But I know some that are still scarred and still don't believe and still are hesitant to jump on board. So I can understand, in that sense, what this means to people. But for me, where I see it is, you know, and the the regime, you know, from owner down to the players, the checklist of things they want to accomplish in their tenure is not done yet, but has checked off many boxes. And for me, the boxes that I want checked off, similar to the ones they do as well, but I want the graphics that they show on the broadcast of our games to be done for. What I mean by the graphics are the ones that say, we haven't done blank since blank. Since 19 blankety blank. They show those things every single time they show the Lions. Because that's the big news. Those are the big stories for the franchise. But the ones that they just show every time are frustrating to watch. So let's go down the list of those that they show all the time and no longer can show due to the success of these Detroit Lions. So the Lions haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since Reggie Bush in 2013. Well, that happened last year with Jamal Williams. No longer valid. We haven't had back-to-back seasons since Jim Caldwell in 2016 and 17. Both were just 9-7 seasons. Can't say that anymore. We've done that the past 2 seasons. 9-8. And now 11 and blank. Or 11 plus and blank plus. We haven't gone to the playoffs since 2016. We're going this year. We haven't won a division in 30 years. We've done it this year. And now the only thing left is to win a playoff game that we haven't done in 30 years. And of course, there's many other. I mean, you know how stats work these days. It's the first time since this happened to this person on this range of games at this age, at this body weight, with this hair color. You know how the stats work nowadays. But those are the main ones, the ones that are always on the graphic in the corner of the screen. You know, on the bottom it says the Detroit Lions. They still looking for a 1,000-yard rusher. They can't say that anymore. We've done it, and we're starting to play on mostly level ground. What I mean by that is we're a normal team. We're not a team that sucks. We're not a team that all we talk about is how much they suck. No, not the case anymore. So the broadcasts are going to have to adjust to that. And I'm really happy about it. And the game, I mean, you've heard every second of every game you've heard every second of this game talked about on other sources with this the division winning game against the Vikings. Nick Mullins throwing 4 interceptions, and it still came down to a heart stopper of an interception. You let Justin Jefferson score on 3rd and 20, whatever. 3rd and Timbuktu. And the defense still looks like it needs more to be desired. It leaves more to be desired. So I'm not going to go too deep into the game itself. You guys have heard all about it. But of course, I felt everything. I'm feeling the anxiety. I'm feeling the heart attack. I'm feeling the despair before it happens in that game in the last few in the last few minutes. It could go either way. There were some calls that went Detroit's way. There was calls that went Minnesota's way. I think it was a fair game, and I see it as just a simple, tough road division win against a team that is fighting to survive. I'm not happy that it took so much to beat the Vikings without their starting quarterback, but you got the division win. You got it. That's all that matters. But leading into this next game, now I want to shift over to talking about the Lions and Cowboys game coming up this Saturday. Yes, we've been doing great. However, I'm not as confident going into Dallas. Specifically because we're going into Dallas. With a win in this game, you put yourself in a position of the 1 seed, yes. And if you win this game, then you could talk Super Bowl, genuinely. NFC Championship, genuinely. I just don't see it happening this week. I'm sorry, guys. The Cowboys at home are spectacular. They're undefeated in their last 15 home games, I believe the stat is. And at least as of this season, they have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They won 7, even 8 games at home. I hope I counted right. And here's their stat. Let me tell you about the Cowboys at home. I did the math. I did the Excel. Their stats at home are just under 40 points a game, 431 yards of offense, being 303 yards passing and 130 rushing. About. Their defense gives up 289 yards per game. They give up 203 passing yards and 87 rushing yards per game. The defense gets 2 turnovers per game at home. So that's what you're going up against. And yes, the Lions are good, and I think, well, there's 2 ways I could go with this game. It's winnable, yes. It's just you got hard mode. Like I said, if you win, you could talk Super Bowl. You could talk number 1 seed. In fact, you have to do it for the number 1 seed, essentially. But there's 2 ways this game goes, in my eyes. One game, the Lions win it, and another cardiac cats game, another heart attack game. The Lions barely squeak out in Dallas. They played them tough last year at home in Dallas. If it wasn't for a Jamal Williams fumble, potentially could have won the game. The whole game snowballed after that. But I don't feel... you either win close or you get mollywopped or you get spanked or you get the doors blown off of you, you get kicked in the ass so hard you fly all the way to Detroit without a plane. That's the other option. You get a bland as in the cornerback, 6 pick 6 of the season to further the NFL record. You get one where Goff is seeing stars because because Micah Parsons complained enough about being held that the refs aren't going to call it at home in prime time, and Goff's going to get hit like a million times. Goff's going to get strip sacked by Micah Parsons, and that's the other route this game goes. Kind of leaning towards the latter half. I think it's going to be a ugly game, but I don't think it's doom and gloom for the Lions if that's the case. Because in all honesty, Dallas is not going to be playing a home game in the playoffs. Because I believe the Eagles, if they could beat the Cardinals and the Giants, I think they win the division that way. So Dallas will be on the road. So yes, you would lose to Dallas in Dallas, but you're not going to have to do that in the playoffs, most likely. If you are, then that's bad, of course. But I don't think you're going to be facing a monster like that in the playoffs. So if you lose, not a huge deal. Beat Minnesota at home, finish off the season with 12 wins, 12-5. Make me correct in my preseason picks where I thought the Lions would go 12-5. Make me correct. We have a video that came out in May. Me and my brother and my cousins. We did the whole season. 12-5 is looking like it's going to be the final record for the Detroit Lions. I think it's the first time we got 12 wins ever. I mean, it might be. We've only won 11 games 4 times ever. So, 12 wins? I don't know the stats, but could possibly be the first one ever. And you're going to be upset about that because we lost to the Cowboys? No, I'm not. It's a game. It's going to happen. It's a good team. It's a super team that you're not going to have to play in their super mode. You're going to have their kryptonite, which is an opposing crowd. So, we're approaching the final minute of the GioMoShow. We're going to do a little bit of an extended. We're going to extend this a little bit just to make sure that we get the GioMoShow picks in. Because I don't want to miss a Thursday night game. I don't want to miss a Thursday pick again. So, what we'll do is we'll take a break and we'll continue into overtime for the GioMoShow. We'll go for about another 10 minutes before we send it off into the new year of the GioMoShow. And it's one that I'm looking forward to. And looking back on this year, it's what I'm grateful for. So that's what we're going to do on WXOU 88.3 FM, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University. We got the station ID down. We'll be right back on the GioMoShow, and we will get to the GioMoShow picks.